A bombshell report in the New York Times revealing yet another piece of intelligence that the FBI had when they began to investigate possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Now, at the center of today's report, this man, George Papadopoulos. How do you know him? He is the Trump campaign aide who has since pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI and is now cooperating with special counsel Robert Mueller. Now, according to the New York Times, Papadopoulos was apparently drinking with a top Australian diplomat back in May of 2016. And he told that diplomat that Russia had political dirt on Hillary Clinton. 2 months later, when the DNC emails were leaked, Australian officials told U.S. officials about that conversation with Papadopoulos. Now, this news indicates that additional intelligence separate from that dossier by a British spy on Trump-Russia ties raised concerns among security officials. This hour, the White House is responding. The president's lawyer, Ty Cobb, telling CNN, quote, "Out of respect for the special counsel and his process, we are not commenting on matters such as this. We are continuing to fully cooperate with the special counsel in order to help complete their inquiry expeditiously." Joining us now, Washington investigations editor for the New York Times, Mark Mazzetti. He is one of the journalists behind this breaking news today. Mark, thank you for joining us. I know some Republicans, you've been reporting as well, as the president claimed the Steele dossier is the basis for the FBI's probe into Russia's election meddling and the question of collusion with the Trump campaign. But according to this explosive report from you and your colleagues today, that's not true.
Right. The dossier has been with us publicly for almost a year now, and it's been this sort of political dynamite where Republicans have dismissed it and said it's been discredited and that this was the basis for the entire FBI investigation. What we report today is that actually it wasn't the basis for the FBI investigation. There were several things that were involved, but primarily it was information from George Papadopoulos. As you said, he was drinking in a bar with the top Australian diplomat in London in May 2016, and 2 months later, the Australian tells the FBI what Papadopoulos had told him, that Russia has dirt on Hillary Clinton. It's interesting because this sort of helps fit a big piece into the puzzle of the narrative of 2016. Why did the FBI get so concerned about Trump and potential Russian contacts that caused them to launch this investigation? This was a key piece.
So do we know why Australians waited 2 whole months to tell their American counterparts about this conversation?
We don't, and that's one question that we'll continue to report out. I mean, it is possible that the Australian, whose name is Alexander Downer, who's the top diplomat in the UK, heard the information. It was not considered urgent until 2 months later, when we saw emails spilling out publicly that were damaging to Hillary Clinton's campaign, specifically the DNC emails. And after that, it became clear that this was what Papadopoulos was talking about, and they put 2 and 2 together and urgently went to the United States. That's some speculation, but it is possible.
So what did the FBI do then after they got that information from Australia?
So what has been publicly reported and spoken of by senior officials is that in late July of 2016, the FBI opened a counterintelligence investigation, which was basically looking at what is behind this intelligence about contacts between the Trump campaign and Russians. What are they to make of it? They started the investigation, but it did not really go full tilt for some time. It wasn't really until the fall that they started really looking at these issues particularly seriously. Now, at the same time, this is a month before the election, and there was concern in the FBI about a full-blown investigation coloring the political sort of climate at the time, a month before the election. Recall, it was a time when there was concern that Trump might, lose and not accept the results of the election. So there was a real debate inside the FBI.
So did you get the sense then that they didn't really know how to best approach their investigation, that they were sort of wondering how aggressive to go in following up on these tips?
Yes, I think there was such a debate. Now, again, what has been reported before is that Christopher Steele, the former British spy who put the dossier together, had gone to a contact of his who works at the FBI in Rome. This was earlier in the summer. But it does not appear that the FBI really took that information that Steele provided particularly seriously until later in the summer or early fall, because as reported in our story today, it wasn't until October when FBI agents went over to Europe to interview Steele. So there was a real lag time, and there did seem to be some period when the FBI was not, was doing it. They'd opened an investigation, but they were not, doing everything they could to sort of chase every lead.
So because the timing really is crucial, Mark, I just want to make sure we understand the order of all of this. Did the FBI start their investigation before they knew about the Steele dossier, or do you know?
We do not believe that, as we report, it was not at all the predicate for the investigation. We do think that at least one FBI agent knew about information that Steele had provided. We believe he provided that in early July to the agent in Rome. But we have multiple sources who have confirmed that it was the Papadopoulos email, Papadopoulos information, together with the hacked emails, together with possibly other sources, that launched the FBI investigation. It was not the Steele information.
Did they tell you that point blank, that the dossier had nothing to do with them opening the investigation?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so I want you to listen to the former Trump campaign officials as they dismissed Papadopoulos back when he first struck that plea deal and his documents from that deal were disclosed.
The guy was the coffee boy. I mean, you might have called him a foreign policy analyst, but in fact, if he was going to wear a wire, all we know now is whether he prefers a caramel macchiato over a regular American coffee in conversations with his barrister. He had nothing to do with the campaign.
That old coffee boy soundbite, but your reporting indicates he was not just a coffee boy. He was actually a very integral player. Tell us more about how involved he was.
So Papadopoulos was named as an advisor during a time when the Trump campaign was struggling to find anyone of import or substance who could serve on the foreign policy team. He didn't have that much experience. However, during the summer and fall of 2016, as we report today, he did actually remain in contact with senior campaign officials. He even helped broker some significant meetings. Most notably, Papadopoulos played a significant role in working with Steve Bannon, then the campaign chairman, to set up a meeting between Donald Trump and President Sisi of Egypt. This was in September of 2016, right around the time of the UN General Assembly.
Does your reporting show there is any evidence Papadopoulos discussed what he knew about Russia's dirt on Clinton with senior Trump campaign officials?
That remains one of the most important questions that we still have not gotten the bottom of. We don't know, again, whether he told anyone inside the campaign, which would be a very significant development. The documents that Robert Mueller's team produced in October shed no light on that. All they say is that Papadopoulos was told about the dirt, but it says nothing about who he told inside the Trump orbit.